Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we are continuing our series of 10 tips on taking a long distance road trip. And now we're on number 6. It's all about finding the most beautiful and interesting places that you can along your travel route. So let's take a look at some tools you can use to make that happen. I can't tell you how many times I've gone along, driven past an area, and then a week, a year, a month later, someone says, "Oh, you were over there, huh? Did you go here?" And he'd show me pictures of where that was, and I just thought, "Oh, I missed that." And that's it's so easy for that to happen to us. If we don't go out of our way to learn about beautiful and interesting places, we'll just miss them. A lot of us live in one state or one region our entire lives, and we think we're always going to live there, so we never learn about it. I lived in Alaska all my life, and I've seen a lot of Alaska and seen a lot of things in it. But when I left, I realized there were a lot of things I hadn't seen and done because I took them for granted. For example, Mount McKinley. Well, I've seen Mount McKinley 1,000 times in my life, but I never took the time or spent the money to take a plane flyover around it. You can fly literally over Mount McKinley and look right down on it. I mean, you just fly right around it. And then you land on a glacier just a few miles away from the peak. And they let you out and you can walk around and you're just right there below it on the snow and ice on skis, playing on skis. And it was one of the best experiences of my entire life. Another one, I've always wanted to do either a fly-in or a boat-in bear viewing trip, and I never did that. And I left Alaska and I missed these big opportunities, and so I had to go back as a tourist to do them. And it's easy to live our whole life and miss these great opportunities. So many of us, we live in one of the most beautiful, fantastic places in the world with the most wonderful and interesting people, and we never see them, we never know them, we never experience them directly. And man, that's sad. I think for myself, it's very sad. Well, I've dedicated this part of my life, living on wheels, to going out and seeing every beautiful place and meeting all the really nice people I can, embracing and experiencing this fantastic country. And so that's what this tip is all about, how you will find those places. The first thing we'll talk about is websites and apps, and so just different searches you can do, different books you can buy. But before we do that, let me tell you about some books that I've bought for out west that I really highly recommend. This is a series of books. It's called, this one is Photographing Oregon, a guide to the natural landmarks of Oregon. In other words, this is a photographer's guide for photographers, and it lists out all the beautiful places that you can go and photograph in Oregon. And also, here's another one. This one's on Southern California. California is such a big state. He breaks it down by north and south. I own this series for every western state that they make them. So I have Washington, Oregon, 2 in California, 1 on Arizona, 1 on Utah, and 1 that covers Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. So Texas, I'm sorry. And so I own 7 of them, 7 of these books. Started buying them 10 years ago in 2006, a long time ago. I bought my first one in 2006 when I retired and left Alaska. And I would not be without these. I've never regretted owning them. They're fantastic. They'll tell you where to go in the state and the most beautiful places. But let me give you another idea of another book that I have. It's this one. So when I go to a state, if I'm going to spend my summer in a state, I will start researching that state. And I'll do Google searches, and you can find a lot with a Google search. But I was in a used bookstore in Medford, Oregon, and I found this book, and it was used, so it was fairly cheap. And it's the Creaky Knees Guide to the Best Hikes in Oregon. And I really like this book. I think it was $2 or $3 in a used bookstore. And when I'm done with it, I'll pass it along to someone else. But there are hiking books and trail books, and this one is specifically oriented towards older people like me, who can't do massive hikes and climbs. So it's easy, and yet it has maps and pictures. So I know this is a really beautiful hike, or this one just looks like a so-so hike. So I always search for books in an area, and I know it's probably costs more, but if you can get them used, or if you can get like these, I still use these. I bought the book on Arizona in 2006, and I still use it every year. I will never regret owning that book or this book. So books are something to at least consider, and I know they're out of a lot of your budgets, but beyond website searches and apps, I think this is a good one. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the websites and apps you can search and find beautiful and interesting places.
This is how one of the primary ways you'll find really great places is just through Google search bar. But the thing is to think in terms of search terms that will find you the most stuff. So, so for example, if you're interested in photography, a photographer's guide to Wyoming. We were just talking about Wyoming. So if I'm driving through Wyoming, type in photographer's guide to Wyoming, and then you'll get a bunch of different places in Wyoming, different books. And so, and I own some of these books because they're great books. And then you'll have websites, but this is so you don't have to buy books. You'll see a whole bunch of websites there, and you'll just go look at them and poke around until you find one that's useful to you. Or most beautiful places, Wyoming. That's going to bring you up a bunch of websites of people who've gone to Wyoming and explored. Scroll down 10 best places to visit in Wyoming, 10 most beautiful towns in Wyoming, 25 best places, 12 top rated tourist attractions, 30 unbelievably photo ops in Wyoming. This is a great place to start. And people who have been there and explored, and you can do all this in YouTube as well, and then you actually see the videos that they took of those places. And so that's a real good thing. Another thing I would really highly recommend is scenic drives. I spent one summer in Wyoming. I discovered every scenic drive in Wyoming that I could find. And man, it was a great summer. I loved it. And this is how I did it. Most scenic drives in Wyoming. The first one listed here is the one from the state of Wyoming. And that's something to do everywhere you go. Right ahead of time, if you have advance notice, to the state, and they'll send you a big, thick brochure book. And boy, I've gotten really good tips out of there. And they had a map of all the most scenic drives, and I kept it with me the whole time. It was a whole summer. Spent a summer in Wyoming, and I drove every single one of them, and it was fantastic. So scenic byways is a really, really good one. And so those are beautiful places. That's scenery. And then you type in off the beaten path, Wyoming, and then the first one that pops up is 34 cool and unusual things to do in Wyoming. So there you go. There's a bunch of great places there. 5 off the beaten path. 10 perfect places in Wyoming. And just, you're just looking for the weird and unusual. And a lot of these are on books. And so we'll, in the next tip, we'll go and actually look at Amazon and books that I really highly recommend for you to buy. But this is how I would do it, and start with Google because, of course, Google's free. And so there are a lot of different things you might be interested. We're not all interested in the same things, are we? So let me show you a graph I created here. 4 different categories of history, culture, hobbies, and beauty. And these are ideas of what you could search on. So if you were interested in history, as you drove through, you could type into Google historical sites near me, historical sites Wyoming or Nevada, or battlefields near me, or Native American history. So maybe when you're in Wyoming, you would look up the Lakota, do a search on Lakota history near me, or if you were in the Four Corners region, Navajo. So everywhere you go. One thing you might think about doing is going to all the mountain men rendezvous. Just do a Google search on mountain men rendezvous if you're into history. Or if you're into culture, museums near me, famous architectural sites near me, or in Wyoming. Music, or music gatherings and music museums. We all have these different interests. Or maybe you just want to go backpacking. You want to find best hikes Wyoming, best hikes Arizona. or 4x4 off-roading. Maybe you take a motorcycle with you, and there are a lot of good books and a lot of adventure motorcycling sites, especially, or ATV sites about where to go riding your ATV or motorcycle, or hot springs. I know people that go to every hot springs they can find, and so you could do a Google search on hot springs USA, hot springs in America. I know Wikipedia has a page that will come up, and there are a lot of different pages that will come up on finding all the hot springs or ghost towns. People like to search for ghost towns. Just all kinds of things that people enjoy. And all this stuff, if you're just a little bit creative and imaginative in the Google search, you can find it all there. Okay, then another thing I would do is I like to buy books. Let's go take a look at Amazon next. So now we're in Amazon. Let's just do a scenic search on most scenic drives America. And this Reader's Digest book is one I do highly recommend that you own, especially starting out. It has spectacular drives all over the country, and I started out with it and have no regrets about owning it. After a while, I went ahead and passed it on to someone else because I had gotten all of my use out of it. But I really recommend this book. Look and see if you can find it used. It seems like Amazon doesn't have as many good deals on used books. Scroll down a little more and I'll show you another one, 50 States, 5,000 Ideas. But this National Geographic Guide to Scenic Highways is also very good. Not as good as the Reader's Digest, but very good. And this is a good one, Off the Beaten Path. Really good book. I would recommend you own this book as well. I mean, if you're going nomadic and you're going to spend many years searching, this is really something that will help you. And then Road Trip USA, that's a great one too. And I know we can't all just go out and buy all these books, but if you can, these are books that will really enhance your life. Or find them in a library and go through the library. Most libraries will have most of these somewhere, and then get them at the library and take notes, or take pictures with your phone of the places that really speak to you and you want to go to. That's a way to do it for much less if you can't afford all these books. And let's face it, most all of us can't afford all these books. Now you can see here I typed in Photography Oregon, and I want you to see specifically this book. And I love this. It's a series. A man named Martres, I think that's somehow you say it, did a whole series of them. You can see he's got one on Oregon, on Washington. There are two on California. It's such a big state. And also he has them on the Southwest. So he has one on Arizona, one on Utah, and one that is a combination of Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. And so I really, really love this series. I have them all, and I started buying them 10 years ago, and I've added to the collection as I've moved around. I really love these books. I actually also bought this book, and it's a very good book. Try and find them used if you can, but they're great books, and I recommend these very highly. So there you have some ideas of how I would go about searching. And a biggie is just to ask when you go. When you get to Oregon, stop at some small shops. Especially, what I like to do is to go to REI. REI is Recreational Equipment Incorporated. They're a big national chain, and I try to find REIs wherever I go and go in and buy something if I need something. But if not, ask them. These are all people who are out enjoying the outdoors. They're out backpacking and hiking and biking. And ask them, where's a really pretty drive around here? And they will know. But that's true of all sporting goods stores. It's particularly true, I know it's certain, of asking at REI, but any store, ask locally for the most pretty places, whatever you're interested in, or go to the local museum. Go to the local museum or go to a local art gallery, especially, like in a state like New Mexico, Taos or Santa Fe, where they're famous for their art galleries. Go to the art gallery and say, hey, where's a really good place? I do outdoor plein air painting. Where's a great place to go? Get information from the locals. It's free. You interact with people, and I really recommend that as a tool that will help you find beautiful places.
And so there you have it, different ways that you can find the most interesting places, the most beautiful places This is such a great country, we want to find all of them. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you down the road, friends.